So we'll still be waiting about 3 minutes until everyone joins. In the meantime, you can check this link with brand asset cards. We won't be talking about them during our webinar, but they are quite related to brand ROI. As this year, a couple of studies have been published that ads that use brand assets and brand codes are much more effective. So this is a tool we created a couple of years ago. We also have this hard copy version for our clients, really useful. So you can check them in the meantime before we start. And maybe you can still, if your coffee machine is very close, you can still go get your coffee, and we'll start in 2 minutes. Welcome, who've joined right away. We'll be waiting a couple more minutes. We'll start at 33. In the meantime, you can check this link. Hope you like it. With different ways how to make your brand stand out in your ads. As you'll see during our webinar today, can be a challenge for brands. So we're happy to use this tool, and we'll still be waiting 1 more minute before we start. As you can see, we're recording this webinar, so we'll share the recording with you, and for those who cannot join live, just so you know. 1 more minute, and then we'll start, because this is supposed to be a super fast webinar. We know that you're busy. If you want to stay later for a Q&A, you're welcome. We can be here for another half an hour, but the main part would be for 30 minutes. Okay, it's 33, I think. Let's start, and others will join later. As I've said, we'll be sharing the recording. So welcome. Welcome to our webinar on the return on investment in brand marketing. If you can relate to this illustration, you're perhaps at the right place today. This is what we're helping our clients with, basically finding a way how to help the marketing team, but also the board and CEO understand how brand translates to growth and sales. And we're definitely not giving you any silver bullet, just one number, 3.46, your one brand ROI. This is not how it works. We would be the first in the world to do that, but still there's a huge difference in between campaigns that are defendable, that can be linked to sales and growth, and those who are just waste of money. And we're going to be talking about that. It's going to be for 30 minutes. I'll have 3 parts for you. First, really, how does it look when you are spending money on brand confidentially? You know that there's going to be return on your investment. I'm going to show you a simple framework, a couple of useful metrics, and a case study. Then I'll talk for a while about the recent changes that AI is making in brand measurement, mostly making it really fast and much more affordable. We're also implementing a lot of it into our tools, and I'll finish with a glimpse of our tools for measuring and proving that brand marketing really works. As I've said, you're free to leave anytime if you don't like it, but after the 30 minutes, really, if you have something else to do, you can leave. And those who want to stay and have a chat. You can use the chat or just raise your hand, and we'll have a Q&A at the end. Okay. So just to introduce Behavio, we're basically working with a lot of big names as well, like IKEA or Lego or T-Mobile. But everything we do is we're having everything we do in product and elsewhere. We're mostly having challenger brands on our minds. That's our ideal customer profile. So I'll be mainly talking about such brands today. It's applicable totally for bigger brands, smaller brands, with some nuances you can then ask in the Q&A. Here are some examples of our clients, Stock Spirits, trying to penetrate European markets with affordable premium new brands. We're measuring for them on 9 markets. Notino, #1, super fast growing, like e-commerce beauty in the Europe. We're measuring for them at 28 markets. And then an example of a smaller brand, Arcavindi, based in the UK, and they're expanding from there to for Western European markets, which is a vintage e-commerce platform. So overall, we work for over 600 brands. So all of what we're showing is basically battle tested. We measure thousands of brands and ads every year for those clients. So there's already a lot of patterns we can see between small brands and big brands, how they grow. So hopefully this is applicable for the framework is applicable for bigger, even B2B. But frankly, B2B is really hard to measure. So hopefully this is going to be useful for others. But this is our main profile. The question was why we're focusing on them. Because we like to be a part of the growth, and those companies are really, let's say, they have faster decisioning, and though we love working for IKEA or Lego, there's a lot of things already done well, and they're just navigating something that already works. Those challenger brands are really in many times in tough positions. They have to test a lot. And I think our strengths, which is giving the insights really affordably, fast, really concrete answers, are like good fit for those fast-paced, ambitious brands. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Behavio Labs. And one thing to add, we started Behavio years ago to create those concrete answers for challenger brands, but also with some idea to introduce better modern metrics, because what people say in questionnaires, in market research, is not what they then do. There's often the declarative questions, how likely are you to do something, are often very misleading, sometimes negatively correlating with sales. I'll be shortly talking about that as well. So we started this company, created first measurement tool for these methods that are tapping a little bit into subconscious and the memory. And now we're building tools like brand tracking and testing on them. So let's start with the case study and the framework. The case study I chose is vacation rentals in Netherlands. And as you can see here, we're going to have 2 big brands here, and the Mikazu is a very small brand that in this case is really starting brand. But if you're having bigger penetration, it's quite similar. You have some big, typically big brands you want to take over here, Booking and Airbnb. And the question is how to do that effectively, how to grow. And with our clients at this stage, we often see they can grow well with performance marketing. The first penetration, 1%, 2%, sometimes 5%. Some industries may be 10, but typically smaller. And then if you don't introduce brand marketing and wider reach campaigns, you'll hit a plateau because you've reached all the people who were actively looking for the solution. And then the game changes. And why it changes? It's because we, as people who decide, we buy things, we're very lazy and very overwhelmed, and we have thousands of decisions every day. And basically, anytime there is a brand easily popping, sometimes subconsciously within milliseconds, to our mind when we want to do something, we're choosing typically that brand. So in this case, if Mikazu wants to like really take some market share from Booking or Airbnb, what they need to do is make more people think about Mikazu as or also about Mikazu, because sometimes people change Booking for Airbnb, but you have to be this part of this salient brands, those brands that are easy to think of. And that's at this stage often more important than whether your product is better, because people don't have time to check another vacation rental. So really, if you want to grow, you somehow have to find a way how to become a salient brand. And as you can see, there's a lot of data that confirm that this is really translating the brand into sales. There's a strong correlation between salience and market share. If it doesn't correlate, it's typically because you have a great mind share, people think about you, but you're either hard to buy, you don't have enough stores, or whatever, or you're too expensive for them. But typically, if everything is well balanced, this correlates, and really growing your brand salience effectively is the best way to grow, to scale your brand after initial growth with performance marketing. That said, doesn't mean that you shouldn't be using performance marketing anymore, but the brand is really something that is growing your penetration. As you can see here, there's really the strong correlation between salience and buyers even here. So Mikazu is super small. Booking is around 60% both, Airbnb 24. There's another challenger brand, Belvilla, a little bit bigger than the Mikazu. And what it is, basically, why it works, is salience is basically spontaneous memory connections between needs and a brand. As you can see here, it's really hard to take over Booking, because they really managed to have a connection in between most of the important needs at this category. So most of the really important needs are well linked to the brand. So it's really tough to grow another brand here. Mikazu is really not linked to any of those needs. So how to build brand salience effectively is basically the answer of how to have brand marketing with ROI and see sales and growth. And it's basically this framework. So you have a need, you want to create this link to the brand, and you're most likely doing it with ads. And there's a lot of nuances, and for big brands, it's kind of more complicated. But in the fast-paced environment of those challenger brands, we typically see that if you have these 8 checks with your campaign, the growth and sales will come sometimes immediately, sometimes in 3 months, in 6 months, in 12 months, when all the people reached become in market, because sometimes they're not in market, then they've learned about you, and then they will choose you when they want to buy the thing you're selling. So here is the checklist. You want to target on a strategy level. You want to choose a big need and an unmet need. If you're a challenger brand, it's really hard to go after the needs that are well like claimed by the brands. And this is again measured by the salience. So if this big need is really connected in the brain with the Booking, and people are spontaneously thinking about Airbnb and Booking, it's really hard to compete there. So you want to find an opportunity that is big enough for you to grow in the next 2 years, and that is not the mind share of the other brands. It's not as strong. Then you want to have ads, and I'll go in detail in a while here. But basically, the ads that build this connection need to have some measurable things, well measurable today, so it's quite predictive whether the ads will grow this link or not. And then on the side of the brand, you basically, if you got everything in needs and ads right, you should see the salience lift, and you can check for some spontaneous barriers to buy in the brand tracking, whether there's something unexpected that people don't like about your product. If you do this, it's really highly probable that you will grow. Let me switch for a while for a different brand, HEDP, our client, online therapy. This is quite rare to see such clear connection between brand building and sales, because often it's not, this is a plateaued brand. So they were basically growing first with the preference marketing, and then for more than a year, their new business was totally stalled, as you can see here. So they decided to go and start a small TV campaign, which we measured. We pre-tested the creatives, and then we measured what's happening in the minds of the people. Immediately after the campaign, they were able to raise the awareness and the salience 2 times, and the sales started raising quite early, and within 6 months, they basically got all their investment back. And that was an example where you can see if you have this plateaued growth, sometimes it's easy to see the changes. But back to our example from Netherlands. So basically here, if you're looking at the 2 competitors, one of them is doing it very good and the other very badly, one of the challengers. Mikazu has been for years having this message, no booking fees, while Bellevilla is going for the need. It's great for family with kids. If you look at the data about the needs, you can see that what Mikazu is doing, they're going after the need where booking is really strong. They're much more bigger, but even relatively, which is this table, relatively to their brand size, they're still super strongly connected to no booking fees. So trying to communicate this message with limited budget that Mikazu has is really a suicide, and you cannot win here. While what Bellevilla is doing is basically they find a niche for them where booking is not that strong, which is a vacation rental, great for family with kids. They're even relatively weaker here. And as you can see, Bellevilla is already much stronger, and they keep growing much better than Mikazu. So basically what I'm saying here, it starts with strategy before ads. Sometimes it's hard to see brand ROI if you are targeting the needs that are already taken. So that's the first part. Then the second part is ads, where the task is to effectively use your budget to connect the need with the brand. The basic principle here is how we learn words and language, and that's neurons that fire together, wire together. So technically, if you only show together the need and the brand in your ad, in your communication, something is already happening, and your brand salience should be growing a little bit. The problem is that we don't want to watch ads. We're filtering most of what we are shown. We don't want to see that. And that's why there's a third important part in ads, and that is emotional response. The main reason for emotion in ads is because it basically gets attention to the ad and it strengthens the memory building. So there's 3 super important drivers in brand advertising, and that is brand recall, need recall, and emotion. And as you can see here in this Mikazu ad, which I'm going to play, if you just have one right, like emotion, but you're not showing your brand and the need, what you're good for, vividly enough, you're basically paying for people to be amused, but the brand salience is not growing. Let me just play this ad.
Een huis dat goed is in... Bommetjes! Kijk, Dat is voor Wessel nou een huis dat goed is in vakantie. Meer dan 10.000 huizen die goed zijn in vakantie. Je vindt die van jou op mikazoo.nl.
So an example of an ad that is likable, but really kind of a waste of money, especially if you're a small brand. When you just show the brand for a couple of seconds, it just doesn't stick enough in the memory. I'll show the tool later, but basically there's today a lot of details, second by second, how you can align branding, emotion, and need in the time, in audio, in video, to make this much more like stronger and use the budget, the same budget, and have much higher salience lift. So that's the second part, and then you're checking the salience with the branding. Again, this framework really proven. This is something we haven't come up with. It's based on many evidence-based marketing literature, but we kind of made it really easy to grasp. And when you're operating 28 markets, you don't want to get into super detail. So this is how you can really check many of the typical mistakes that you can do, whether the problem why you don't grow is with the creative or with the market. And it's basically just a couple of metrics that you're using. Couple of metrics that I would warn you against or suggest not to use. As I've said, Behavio is here because what people say is not what people do. And those declarative metrics are really tricky and sometimes can really mislead you. So one of the things often used when you do some like do-it-yourself questionnaire for market research is the self-ranking motivator. So people are ranking whether this is important for them or not. This is the first place, this is the fourth place. We do this totally differently than how we decide them. So it's really good to use some behavioral methods, driver analysis, or basically just a penetration of the needs, because that's what's important, how many people are in the need rather than whether it is 4 and 5. It can be really misleading. But even more misleading is super negatively correlating with the actual ad impact is the purchase intent. That is the method that was used to test ads decades ago and still sometimes being used. Purchase intent, basically a question when you show the ad to the viewers, and then you ask them whether they will buy the ad, where they're more likely to buy the ad after the product after seeing the ad. That is really negatively correlating with the impact. So the more you optimize for purchase intent, which is putting there more information, more fresh product info, the worse you are. The reason is because people don't want to acknowledge that all that is needed for them to buy something or to change their decisions is building the salience by emotional marketing. They just don't want to feel like that. Engagement metrics are also totally not correlating with the impact on brand salience. And then this is not as misleading, but still sometimes NPS and consideration is something that brands are really concerned about. NPS is not correlating that much with growth. It's basically a little bit noisy way how to check for brand emotion. And if you want to get into the detail, we can do that in the Q&A. I'm a little bit running behind the time, so I'll speed to the next topic, and that is how we use AI, or even our competitors, how they now use AI in brand measurement, and what we see working and what is not working yet. Basically, there's two big chapters, two big types of use of AI in the brand measurement. One is AI assisted, which is using AI to make the research on real people faster, smarter, cheaper. Super good. We're doing a lot of things. I'll just show. And then there's this like synthetic respondents or AI predictive metrics. So far, from what we see, it's becoming quite good in early idea testing, especially for attention. So what we're already also going to deploy is really AI prediction of ads based on those metrics like emotion, branding, and needs. But it's definitely not there for the big decision. So if you're going to the TV or pre-testing, it's still much better to use now much cheaper AI-assisted pre-tests on real people. But if you're like agency or a brand in early stage deciding about multiple concepts, it's already getting quite good. Where definitely we would suggest not to use the AI predicted metrics yet is quantification of the needs. As you could see, sometimes the small percentage differences are super important when you're deciding how to take over the booking or Airbnb. So this is not there yet with the precision. And also with brand measurement, so far, using predictive metrics is really not accurate enough. You want to see precisely how your brand salience has grown. Many of the people were offline for that. It's just not something that AI can know right away. The good thing for sure is that you can use the AI metrics for share of the model. And as I'm going to show you now, AI-assisted research is becoming really useful. What we do right now in our tools with AI is like 3 parts. So you can use AI both in the input for the data, then for the analysis, and also for the answers. So for example, the brand salience is an open question, which has been super time consuming and costly to get. I've just checked that one of our brand tracking competitors is charging 8,000 euros per year as an add-on for this brand salience. We're already doing this fully AI. It has the same quality as when people are coding that, because sometimes you have some typos when you type the brand in. Using AI is now super good, and it's making it super fast, super automated. So all the very buttons, word clouds we use, I'm going to show, are already doing the data. And then a thing that we're just introducing is already giving you answers and key insights that are using AI to look into the data. I can maybe show what we got here. Still have this before the launch, but it's I'm already quite impressed with that. So if we use this Mikazu case study, there's already my conversation I was just doing in the morning, and you can challenge the results. You can ask for a lot of details, and basically it already gives you a lot of super clever answers, because we trained the AI on the framework of evidence-based books, how brand grows, our data about how this is different for challenger brands and the big brands. For example, here I was asking, how could it be that the branding is so low here when there was a logo twice? It was mentioning in the brand was mentioned in the voiceover as well, and it gives you really like true results. For example, mentioning the thing that if you're a small brand, your branding has to be super prominent. People just won't remember the logo if there's just for a second. That's why the brand codes that I was sharing at the beginning are so important. If you have some mascots or sounds that are supporting your branding, you can grow much faster as a small brand. So AI can really get you a lot of context on those results, taking into account whether you're a small brand, big brand, how can you make it better next time. And this is like bringing the ad testing into a totally different level of like actionability and helpfulness. And sometimes I'm really like pretty surprised what can be done just in post-correction with the effectiveness of your brand ad, mostly because you can add a lot of brand cues that were missing, and then you don't have to reshoot anything. You can still use the same creative idea, and the brand salience growth is going to be much higher. So maybe I was commenting on the word clouds. So just to show, this is also made by AI curation. When you have the emotion, we're having the reasons for why people feel like that in a given moment. That is also now automated via AI. So it's giving you actionable insights. Sometimes super great to have. For McDonald's, we were once testing the ad where the emotional, positive and negative emotion was speaking at the same time. And thanks to those word clouds, you could see that it was a problem with the voiceover, as the word clouds over the negative emotion were connected to the voiceover. So thanks to the AI, this can be now done super fast, even though you're using 500 people and the results are super accurate compared to just AI prediction. The last thing I can show you with AI is all we do here is based on the panel of the respondents, but the secondary metrics of attention heat maps would be really really costly to do, eye tracking, whatever. So here we're using the AI prediction because this is a secondary metric. You have your emotional and branding level super accurate, but then you can watch where people look during the ad. And you can kind of understand maybe why branding is so low, because the people are looking elsewhere, and you can get many other useful insights. So that's also AI. So that is how we combine real people data with AI. I'll be looking forward to your questions. Before I'll end this part, I'll just briefly show you the rest of the ad. So basically, as I've said, we believe that you can check for most of the possible mistakes and the big important decisions whether the brand ad will bring sales and growth by those three things: brand tracking, market tracking, and ad testing. So you have this all-in-one platform. Here you basically upload any creative at any stage, whether that's video, or sorry, I wasn't sharing that, but I'm now. So again, in the simple menu, you have all those three areas covered. You just click on one, and here you can upload any creative, whether it's storyboard or audio or text or video, and you can see whether this will likely build your brand and brand salience based on those three important drivers. Here, this is the part I was showing at the beginning, where you can look for the needs, how important are they, and whether they are already met by your competitors, and you can look for the gaps and opportunities, or understand why you are not growing with the current positioning. Sometimes our customers are growing with the same proposition on all their markets, and then they realize that somewhere it's not just working. So you can just check this for every market, what would be the best proposition for that one. And lastly, you have this brand tracking, again, made with challenger brands in mind. So it's quite easy and easy to understand, and not that complicated, with the basic funnel where you can see all your other competitors and your conversion from awareness to salience into buyers. You can have some prompted associations that you upload, typically those needs where you want to grow and compete with the incumbents. Then this is the part I was mentioning as checking for the barriers. So sometimes you want to see if there are some negative emotions or something that is making people not to buy you, even if you are salient. Here it's not the case. In case of Mikazo, you can see Booking doesn't have any distractors. Airbnb has some. You can quickly check for Airbnb what are the reasons, as again, these are not this is not AI created. These are the real verbatims, but curated by AI, meaning that you have hundreds of answers, and the AI sees the clusters and shows you the real verbatims that are the best examples of the given cluster. So that's an easy way how to really understand fast what people think about you, even those who don't buy you yet. And then some typical things like timeline and insight that is already AI assisted, meaning that our experts have some suggestion what AI sees, and then they check it at some other insight. We still have this human with human touch, but it's already making made much more affordable with the AI. So that's it. Hope that was useful. And if you want to stay and for a chat to have any questions about whatever I was talking about, or if you want to show if I should show something else from the product, please ask. Either raise a hand or write in the chat. I'll be happy to stay here and answer any questions. Thank you so much. You can also type in the chat whether this was useful or what would you make better the next time. Super. I'll be really glad to read your feedback. And that's it. Okay. So thank you very much. And please put your questions in the chat or raise your hand. And I'm already looking in the chat if there's anything I kind of already answered. Hopefully the reason why we're mainly focused on challenger brands. This is some assistant. Thanks for insightful session. No questions? Oh, Alvin, yeah, please go.
Yes, thank you, Jerry. Very helpful and great information and the tool, how it works. I have one question about the classic funnel, what you're normally seeing in brand tracking, like awareness, consideration, preference, buying. You showed and said, hey guys, there's limited or no correlation from consideration or preference or purchase intent. So you're skipping all these steps and just tracking salience and then going to buyers. Yeah. Is that based on your own experience by the tool, or is it also based by a bigger group of study? Can you explain a bit more?
Yes, it is based on other studies. We are not the authors of this idea. Like recently, many books in brand building, Byron Sharp, Adam Buck Institutes, the Jenny Romaniuk, Better Brand Health, and other books on the metrics show that I put it like orange. It wasn't a total red stop. So it's not like the purchase intent in ads, which is something you should definitely not use. Here, okay, you can be okay with using that. It's just a little bit confusing. And the reason why it's confusing is that it's creating stages that don't exist in people's minds. So it's really, so this framework is closer to how people really decide. And the thing is that you basically either have or don't have the spontaneous memory connections to the brand. And then you may have some barriers, which we measure by emotion. And so it's like your task is to grow the spontaneous part and then check for the barriers. What consideration and preference do is they a little bit combine the emotion into this funnel. So sometimes the clients are wondering, well, why we're not growing when we raise the consideration? And often the reason is this is post-rationalization of the respondent, the consideration, but they just don't think about the brand in the buying situation. So that's why it's for us, it's better to explain them directly, hey, you're still not thought of in the current situation, and you need to build more emotional marketing that connects your brand with the need. That's how you grow. So it's less rational. So the thing is that there can be some insight because you see that there's people who are not considering you being a value of you, but that's mostly some kind of barrier that you can check in our framework with emotion. So it's kind of confusing. It's not totally that. And as I've said, it's not something we invented. It's something we read in the literature, modern literature on brand measurement. Tom Roach has, I can share an article with you. He specifically has an article about why consideration is tricky and misleading. Yeah, hope that's an answer for you.
Yeah, thank you. Looking forward to the article, and thanks for your explanation. Thank you.
Okay, other questions? I'll check that. Can you talk about a little bit more about how the data behind these insights is generated? Is AI generating the data, or is it based on consumer research? Is a question from Venu. So the vast majority you've just seen is consumer research, meaning we're approaching real people, respondent panels with representative samples of the real people population. We're using AI to create this to help us analyze it fast. The only thing I was showing that was purely AI data were the attention heat maps in the video. The reason why we do this, it's already almost there. The accuracy is very high, and also it's a secondary metric, which you shouldn't decide whether to air this particular creative based on just the attention heat maps. There are some competitors that use the same models or the same accuracy that are purely AI. I think that is really misleading, because they can tell you, hey, this is a great ad, because they predict the attention, but they won't tell you that you're really bad at branding or the need to the connection to the need. So that's why we're using it only as a secondary metric. But the vast majority, everything else, is using the research. But frankly, the costs are really competitive. The traditional pretests from the big incumbents can often cost like 10K euros per test. We're already running this whole test where you have this AI chat, the key insight, 500 people, second by second metrics, all this with some subscription for like 2,000 euros per test, which is already affordable even for the challenger brands. So and it's scalable for them, so they can test on multiple markets like that. Thank you. Okay, any other questions, either in chat or you can raise a hand. Happy to answer more. And of course, if you want to have maybe one-on-one conversation about your particular case study or pain, I'm happy to join for a short call when we could just discuss your situation. Alvin, please ask.
Last question from my side. Is it possible to have a very, for example, a low N of qualitative research, and then expand that into a bigger qualitative output via AI? So basically that you saving costs and make it happen by a lower N. Is that already possible from your point of view?
You mean like boosting the samples with AI?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like there's definitely companies trying that. It's gonna be, I think that's gonna be the way where, for example, brand tracking will be moving in the future. Currently, I wouldn't, like as of today, I wouldn't recommend it yet. I think for those big decisions, especially if you're brand marketing, that means that you typically have a couple of campaigns a year, and you need to be really sure about the, like, often the differences in between the concepts or your brand lift is a couple of percent. So right away, what I would recommend is using AI for qualitative research, as you said. So for example, the long list of the needs at the category can be pretty much generated by AI. That is something we have a super good experience with. For example, those so-called category entry points or the needs. The long list is typically generated quite well. You might miss some super unique insight that the others won't have if you did the qualitative research on real people, which is super long term, super costly. So I would quite recommend at least to use AI here in parallel to the qualitative research. Then when you want to quantify it, I would use the traditional research based on the quotas on the sample, But frankly, this could be getting better in the coming years.
Yeah, looking forward. Also, if you have to test it on each country, yeah, it's a very cost-intensive method to do it by the audience. So it would be nice to have the cultural insights from Germans versus the Dutchies or the UK persons, that you can easily already filter it out. What could be in a percentage?
Overall, I think it's good to think about AI. It's sometimes some studies show that's totally not predictive, but I think the best studies on AI prediction is around 70% of the accuracy of the real people measurement, which is, as I said, I can see a use for early concept testing where you have a lot of ideas and you want to like select the best 3 and then really pre-test it before you're running the big campaign and investing the money. But 70% is way too like, it's not enough if you want to be sure about those big decisions, because those how to say, in brand marketing, often the decisions really lie in the small differences in the percentages. So you rarely find, if I go back to the booking and Airbnb case study, you rarely find a need that is going to be super small, like, I mean, 30% smaller. That is something that AI will tell you like quite accurately, but you're typically looking for some needs that have maybe 10 percentage points, sometimes 5 points difference to the others. And that's your bet. And you want to be sure that it's like that, because you're going to invest as a challenger brand maybe for 2 years to build the connection in between that particular need and your brand. And you want to be super sure. So I think it's still worth paying a little bit more for real people data. But as I've said, I'm thanks to what we do, this is getting much cheaper, and it's getting really a fraction of the cost you're investing into that market in the communication. So it seems that it's already good ROI for the testing on real people, thanks to this AI assisted research as well. But I understand that for some secondary, not important markets, you might think that something is better than nothing. Yeah. We'll be testing that, and I think in a year maybe we'll introduce a brand tracking that will be boosting the sample. Right now, we don't think this would be misleading. Okay. Can you share examples of important business decisions your clients have taken based on brand insights from that you have shared? Yes. I can definitely. I can even mention some case studies that were like already pointed. So, for example, introducing a brand mascot into the communication that then worked super well. So we were testing like a visual for a travel agency called Blue Style that really scored well, and now is helping them to have the branding through the ads much higher, which is really helping them grow faster their brand salience. That is one example. Then Notino, I was showing the Notino. So they have 28 markets. So typically their questions are like, this is a major market. I cannot say the details here, but one of the markets is really major. They're already plateaued here. So we basically trying to restart the growth at that market for them by looking at the different needs, and they can already see where there is an important need that is not covered by the other competitors like Sephora and others. Then they have early markets when they just use the creative from different markets, and they don't see the sales growth. So they're asking whether this is the creative or it's the different markets. So we again use all the tools, and basically the question is either this is the creative, sorry, this doesn't work here locally, or creative is quite good, but the problem is with the message. That's other example. Then a lot of really important changes to the effectiveness of the ad in post-production. So we basically test something and it's not good enough. I mentioned the McDonald's ad where they changed the voiceover, and the emotion was much better thanks to this pretesting. Another example could be energy drink challenger of Red Bull called Big Shock, where we really helped them save a lot of money by pretesting their 3 TV spots. They wanted to air all of them, all the 3. But we were pretesting them, and they were really different in their effectiveness. One was super lame, let's say. People didn't like it, no emotion. One was super good. The third one in the middle. What we suggested was teach the 2 worst ones and just to use the best one. They really didn't use the worst one, but they used the two better ones. And then we tested this after the campaign a couple months later. And we could really see a strong correlation in between how effective was the first one in growing the salience compared to the second one. So if they used just the first one, it could be even a little bit better, but still they saved quite a lot because they used their media spend for the creative that was much more effectively building the brand salience, and they grew that year quite well. Business decisions, so it's really, yeah, I could go on. If you have maybe some specific industry that you want to ask about, maybe I can, or later, if you want to reconnect, we can bring some case studies from, that's for any of you from your industry. We're super strong in FMCG, e-commerce, finance, fintech, but basically we have some case studies in most of the consumer categories. So happy to share. And even if this is one-on-one, I can go into a little bit much detail about the customers we're looking for. Okay. Some more questions? Perfect. Looking forward to that, Sile, if I hopefully pronounce that well. Anyone else? Would you like to ask about anything about how to boost the return on investment in brand marketing, about the products? Maybe if you can just type in a super short couple of words whether this was useful or what you missed, what you were expecting and didn't get, that would help me create the next webinar better. Okay, seems that no one else is asking, and so I think we can wrap it up. Thank you again. Thank you very much for joining. Hopefully we'll meet next time for some other webinar that would be interesting for you, or as I've said, book a meeting one-on-one with me or my colleagues, and we're happy to go into your particular pain points or cases. Okay, see you. Bye. Thanks.